Essential, adjective, absolutely necessary, extremely important. That is what we're talking about today. Hi, I'm Nick Jonas, and these are my essentials. My first cell phone was a Nokia brick, where you could change out the face of the phone. It had the snake game on it, no color screen. Eventually from there I upgraded to a Sidekick. And I held on to that till I got to the BlackBerry. I sort of fancied myself a businessman at the age of 15 and was reluctant to make the switch to the first generation iPhone. And then I got all the way up to the 6 and stayed there until just recently I was gifted this phone, the 11, which for some reason has 3 cameras, 4 if you include the front. And it's, again, a life-changing experience and connects me with my family, my friends, and my amazing fans all over the world. There have been crucial moments where not having my cell phone on me was an obstacle. But actually, a story comes to mind about my brother and him not having his phone on him. This was Joe. We're big skiers. I'm a snowboarder, he's a skier. And we were on the mountain, and he had a white case on his phone. He, at the top of the mountain, decided to enjoy a little. And as he was on his way down, his phone fell out of his pocket because he was trying to take a picture. And he said, "I'm done. I'm too high to go down this mountain again. It's up to you." And I said, "I will save the day. I will find your white phone amidst this white, snowy mountain." I then rode down, and like something out of a movie, this guy was stopped, and he looked injured. And I said, "Hey, are you okay?" And he looked up, and he said, "Is this your phone?" 40,000 square feet of space on this white mountain, and the one guy I ran into was the guy holding my brother's phone. I didn't tell him until just now, obviously, that I had help, but I did save a day, and he has me to thank. And just so you know, he's not high anymore. My friend introduced me to one of the finer things in life, and no, I'm not talking about excellent tequila, which we'll get to later. I'm talking about low-mercury tuna fish. Now, this is delicious. It comes in various flavors: tandoori, lemon pepper, Cajun, lots of great flavors. And I fancy myself a bit of a canned tuna aficionado, if you will. I've posted many videos and tutorials on how to make your own, much like a makeup tutorial, although it's tuna fish instead of makeup. I had the pleasure of being a part of this film, the first iteration of the Jumanji franchise, which we're about to release the second one. I was actually watching the original one with Robin Williams on a tour bus the day I got the phone call that I had been cast in the movie. So a little serendipitous, and to this day that is still one of my favorite movies, and the fact that I get to be a part of this franchise now was really special. One of the things to look out for in this film is there's one particular scene where Kevin Hart is crying unnecessarily in the scene. You know, he cries all the time, obviously, but this was on camera, and it's in the movie where we were shooting up in the mountains and it was so cold. The wind was blowing in his face, and so when it did this cutaway shot halfway through the film, which you'll see if you go check it out in theaters, he's literally crying. And all of us are crying, laughing at him crying on screen. And I just got the most joy out of that possible. I should text him now, actually, and tell him he's a great crier. My job requires me to work a lot and travel a lot, which means I'm not in my own bed a lot of the time. And I was on a plane once, and I looked over at this very elegant man, the most elegant man I'd ever seen in my life. He walked on with kind of a briefcase. He walked on with a duffel bag. And he sat the briefcase down first, opened it up, and pulled out an eye mask, his own cashmere blanket, and some earplugs. He then put the duffel bag up top, proceeded to tuck himself into bed on this flight, put the eye mask on, and look like it had been done professionally. After the flight was over, I looked over again and realized it was none other than Tom Ford, the most elegant person I've ever seen. And he slept in his suit, which I also thought was very impressive, whereas I looked like, you know, like a garbage person, basically. After that, I said, I'm gonna find myself a good sleeping mask. The cool part about this one is that it's actually open here, right? So it doesn't pressure your eyes. Crucial, spoken from a true eye mask aficionado. I don't know where I came across this, but I never leave my house without it. Speaking of Tom Ford, I just recently purchased this portfolio. It's sort of a clutch meets a handbag, I guess. But the important thing is that it elevates everything. So I could be wearing a t-shirt, have this with me, suddenly it looks like I actually put in some work to get out of the house in the morning. Or if I have it with a suit, it fits that as well. It doesn't have to be Tom Ford, he's just my inspiration because he's the most elegant man I've ever met. This was a splurge I made recently after the tour, and seeing the fans every night and how amazing that was. So I said, you know what, I need a new bag. I've had the same one for a while, and it treats me pretty well. Plus it looks really cool when you do this. Just like my bag. And then zip it back up. So thanks Tom Ford for all the inspiration for the portfolio bag. For those of you that don't know, that's what it's called, it's a portfolio bag. Tequila, a man's best friend. Not always the morning after, necessarily, but in the moment it is for sure. And with this one, it's my best friend because I co-created this brand with John Barbados, a very good friend of mine and collaborator. We'd always had interest in tequila and wanting to build something together, starting with clothing collaboration and moving on to the fragrance. And then after all these dinners and things we'd been to together where we talked about life and family and connectivity and artistry, at the center of a lot of those conversations was tequila. We said, we're not professionals, we don't know much about this, but we know that we have an eye for the way we'd want to design the brand, and you know, we've drank enough of it to know what we would want it to taste like. So we went to Stoli Group and talked with them about developing this brand. And they had just actually purchased a distillery a couple months earlier, so the timing was perfect. And within, 18 months of getting the juice just right, we got the design concept for the bottle, which this is our Reposado. We've got a silver and an añejo. For me, tequila is sort of like champagne in a sense. You drink that with friends, at times you're celebrating when life is good, and we wanted to bring that same energy and idea around tequila, which is that it's life as it should be. It should be with people that you love. And for me, my brothers, my wife, this is what we drink. And whether you're celebrating or not, hopefully you're around people when you drink this, because it's not good to drink alone, but this is a good essential to have. In moderation, of course. This is a perfect segue here to Bro Mask. Now, I don't like gender stereotypes at all, and I think it's important to recognize that this is a product that is specifically catered towards men, right? Bro Mask. But this is something men and women can both use, and it is very helpful. I don't know the science necessarily behind it, but I know that I feel a lot better after I wear this. And this started because, I was regularly stealing my wife's products, and she was stealing some of my products. And then someone that I work with very closely, who helps me with my hair and feeling groomed before I stepped into things, said, why don't you try this one? And this is made by a husband and wife who have a similar story, where the husband was stealing his wife's products, and finally they developed this together. And I just love that it sort of was a parallel to my own life, finding a way to make men that perhaps do feel uncomfortable sort of taking extra care of their skin and other things because of unfortunate gender stereotypes. I think this is a good starting place for you, where you'll feel a lot better, you'll look your best. Just good to take care of yourself. That's the reality. Whether you're a man or a woman, non-binary, take care of yourself, feel your best. Your body will thank you. So, Bro Mask for me is the way to go, and for someone else it might be something else, but this is my essential. In addition to taking care of yourself, it's important to smell good. I did a Broadway show a couple years ago called How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. I took over for Daniel Radcliffe, and then Darren Criss came in for a little while, and I came in. I had this weird sense of competition with both those guys, who I really love and admire and have really great friendships with. But the competition was not so much about the show that we all played that same role in, but more about our castmates telling us who smelled the best. So when I teamed up with John Barbados, I told him the same story. He said, well, why don't we do a fragrance, and you can actually hold the title as best smelling man in show business. And I said, what an idea. We launched the blue fragrance first, then like a maroon sort of red fragrance that came out last holiday season. And this is our newest one. It's sort of electric, if you had to think of a word to describe it. It's got a lot of energy. I think it immediately pops and has an effervescence about it that makes you kind of want to know more about not only the fragrance itself, but the person. This fragrance to me is all about challenging yourself. I will say this was inspired by New York, the energy of the city, by the artistry and the creativity within that city, both from, again, its look and its smell. If you smell it, I think you know what I'm talking about. It'll make you want to get up and do something, and I like making good first impressions, and this does that. But this isn't essential because I make money from it. Marriage. And this ring, It's the token of forever. It goes back many thousands of years, I believe, if my Wikipedia page I pulled up before this is accurate. This one specifically was a gift from my wife, as was hers from me, although I've named all these things as essentials. I try to live without ever really needing any material item and knowing that if it was stolen from me or if I ever had to give it away to somebody or if it was, you know, misplaced somehow, that I wouldn't be crushed. However, this would be pretty devastating, as it sort of represents the greatest achievement of my life, which is finding someone that I love, care about deeply, and want to spend my life with. For those that don't know, that's what a wedding ring means. It's the ring that you get on your wedding day. So I'm glad I could help you understand that. Hopefully you get one of these one day too, if that's what you want. If not, no pressure. Spike ball. It's a game played by 4 or more people with a ball, this net, and a whole lot of can-do attitude. The idea is simple. It's basically volleyball meets doubles table tennis. And it looks like a sport for someone that's just done a keg stand, perhaps. It's got a sort of a real fraternity energy to it in the best way, in that it's all about, you know, sort of just throwing a ball at a net, very simple concept. But my brothers and I have really come to love this while on tour, and it's a good warm-up for us. It's not a highly athletic sport necessarily, although I'm sure there's a lot of people that disagree with me on the internet who take it very seriously. For us, it's more just an enjoyable way to kill some time, and although our skills are getting better, I would say for the rest of the world probably watching this at home who aren't in deep, you know, tournament-style spike ball games, just get one of these, very easy, to get outside with a couple friends, hit the ball around, see if you can take home the spike ball pride. For us, you know, it's easy to travel with, although right now trying to show this is proving to be a little awkward. Those are my essentials. Thank you for watching.